Hello. 2012. Stand up if you've seen the movie. Never mind. For the two of you that didn't see the movie, the premise of this was that the Mayans had predicted that the end of the world would come in December 21st, 2012. And were they right? Well, it seems like if you look at the news every once in a while, you might get the feeling that yeah, we are getting close to the end of the world. International scale, local scale. And so what can we do about it? Is our only hope John Cusack? Of course, he's obviously a very talented guy, but he has a limited set of skills. In the movie, he could drive, he knew the right people, and he really only saved 4 or 5 people. Or is this the guy we need to turn to? A lot of people do think that with the end of times philosophy that they're going to be saved, but that still only counts for 144,000 people. So what are the rest of us to do if it is true? But what if it's not a prediction? What if the Mayans are wrong? What if they just ran out of clay and the calendar couldn't be any bigger? Or my friend Patrick said, what if they forgot to turn it over and look at the other side? What if instead it's a warning, it's an opportunity, kind of like Y2K was, to just kind of reflect, look at where we've been, look at where we're going, think about what it's going to take to make a nice world for Daniel, Lewis, Wexler, Slabowski, and the rest of our kids. And also we need to keep in mind that everything is in our control. If we want to make this a better world, we just have to prioritize that as something we're going to do. Of course, hurricanes and earthquakes don't count, but we'll hear about that in a little bit. And one of the other things we need to remember is the conflict is inevitable, but violence is not. Anytime you've got more than 2 people in a room, you're going to have conflict. Well, maybe even if you have just one person in the room, like, no, that doesn't make any sense. Yes, it does. Let me get back to this. But you don't have to erupt into violence. And the problem there is that in a lot of cases we've learned to be violent. And I don't think we aren't really aware of it when it's happening. But over time and kind of the cultural inundation, we start to learn it. And it can be unlearned. We just lack the skills. Obviously, the way we're doing it now in society isn't working because we do have these kind of frustrating headlines. And people will ask, why are Americans so literate but so violent? And the answer, of course, is that we teach our kids to read. So another good reason for developing these skills is that chicks obviously dig guys with skills. But nunchuck skills, computer skills, those don't really count. We really need conflict resolution skills at all levels of life. So how do we get these skills? Winston Churchill once said, first we have to shape our institutions, and then our institutions will shape us. And that's probably the only slideshow you'd ever see at any place that would have both Napoleon Dynamite and Winston Churchill in the same thing. So at the institutional level, obviously we need institutional help. That's not rocket science. We need all levels of society start looking at this issue as something that can be solved, local, state, and federal level. And this kind of gets to that social technology that the guy was talking about earlier. And the technology that I'm talking about is the Department of Peace. It's a cabinet level department that would look at how do we get nonviolent techniques into solving our international and domestic conflicts. So if you are concerned about things on the domestic side, like school bullying, gang violence, domestic violence, prison overpopulation and violence, then a Department of Peace would help in that area. On the international scale, if you look at national security as the 3-legged stool, on the offense side is the Department of Defense. On the defense side is the Department of Homeland Security, but there's really nothing right now that's looking at prevention, and that's what we're hoping the Department of Peace would provide. And whether you're a fan of big government or small government, it really doesn't matter at this point. You want effective government. And the idea on the Department of Peace is that it's going to be a lot easier to fix the problem before it explodes than after it explodes. So great idea, everybody says, right? Department of Peace, what can you do? We have a couple of websites. There's a Ning site, dopeace.ning, where you can go and join the social network that's working on this. There's local community activities going on. And the message here is that, yeah, maybe the end of the world would be a bad thing, But certainly if you look at just the end of the world as we know it, that might be a good thing. And that's what the Department of Peace is about. So to continue the conversation, if you think it's a good idea, just Google Department of Peace and you'll find me and the rest of the national campaign. I want to thank Wendy Green for her help with the slides and for all the other things she does for me. Thanks.